Are past life regressions real, or is it just a bunch of hokey new age hype? And honestly, does it even matter if the results are real? Hi, I'm Brian Hogan, life coach, filmmaker, and clinical therapist. Welcome to another weekly Wellness Wednesday video drop. Today, we're going to talk about the power of the imagination, the truth about past life regressions, and how to bring this knowledge to bear on personal transformation in your own life. So let's get into it. Basically, I was sitting in a coffee shop with my buddy the other day, and we're working on this fundraising package for our web series. And for some reason, the subject of past life regressions comes up. Oh, because one of my clients asked me recently to do some past life regression work with them. And I was telling my friend about this, and he was skeptical. And he was like, "Is that real? Is that stuff even real?" And I was instantly like, who cares in my own mind? Because I happen to have some personal experience with this. I've had a few past life regressions myself, which were transformative. And then I was trained in a technique for inducing the trance state. And now I do them for others as well. And I know how much the experiences have helped me. So I answered him honestly and I said, I don't know if it's real. How can we know for sure? But it doesn't matter. He looked at me funny and he was like, what? And so I said, I mean, does it actually even matter if it's real? If the results that you're getting in your present current life are real? There are examples of stories in books like Many Lives, Many Masters of people who had a fear of drowning and then they go and do a past life regression, live through the experience of drowning, dying in the past life, and then they don't have a fear of drowning in their current life. Well, he wasn't convinced. So I told him a story of one of my past life regressions and how it freed me from one of my fears. Have you ever had an unexplainable fear that just felt like it didn't belong to this life? Well, I have. I had a fear of torture. There's a lot of history to the idea that past life regressions might be an actual thing. And there's also piles of science rooted around the idea of the power of the imagination. So whether past life regressions are real or imaginary, they are deeply powerful either way. Here's the thing. We're living at a time right now on the planet where we need major healing, okay? Everyone I know needs healing in some form or another, whether that's physical healing, mental healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, relationship healing, psychological healing. The list goes on and on and on, and it's just dire. Like our whole species is on one big operating table, chest cavity opened, skull opened, legs and arms being operated on. But we're also wide awake because we're meant to be having talk therapy right now to heal our broken mind too. It's like that kind of level of absurd dire. So the amount of things that are broken and the amount of things that need healing seems to be so big and so massive and so impossible. So my question to any skeptic tuning in is this: does it matter if it's real, if the results are real? Because we need results. We need things to get real results, and we need things that get results now. So if we're going to get positive real world results from imagination exercises or past life regressions or trance states, then I say let's take them. Let's take them and let's use them. And past life regressions are not a new idea. Reincarnation is as old as time. The Bhagavad Gita says, as a person sheds worn out garments and wears new ones, likewise at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn out body and enters a new one. So it's just as easy as taking off your dirty clothes and putting on a new pair of clothes. That's how this particular ancient wisdom tradition sees the significance of life and death. The Diamond Sutra from Buddhist tradition says, all conditioned phenomenon are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like a dew, or a flash of lightning. Thus we shall perceive them. So that's talking about the idea that the things that we experience here aren't even necessarily real. They in and of themselves might be illusory. So that brings another whole dimension to the question of the imagination. Our perception of the world around us is filtered through our imagination, but only always. Everything that we experience is sent through the filter of our interpretation, of our perception, of our history, and our mental stories. So we're using the process of imagination all of the time to make sense of our experience of any of the conditions and phenomenon around us, which means then we live in a dreamlike, illusory bubble, like a shadow-like existence where our perception is a mere shadow of the reality that's out there because it's dampened by our particular locus of focus, our specific lens or point of view. What ancient wisdom traditions have always known and mystics have tried to tell us, modern science is starting to understand and validate. Specifically, the idea that we can harness the power of our imagination for positive transformation. Carl Jung talked about the active imagination. And he said active imagination requires a state of reverie, halfway between sleep and waking. Scientists have a name for this brain state at the stage between waking and sleeping. It's called the hypnagogic state. What's really interesting is that this is the state that hypnotists use to induce the trance state that allows for transformation to happen in hypnosis settings. So imagination is a very powerful force, whether it's being done in hypnosis, past life regressions, or even just your own use of imagination to sort of create the life you desire. Carl Jung also said, without this playing with fantasy, no creative work has ever yet come to birth. The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. And that's so true. Like every invention ever made was first invented in the mind of somebody before, and then there was a prototype, and then there was mass production, and on and on. So imagination is the precursor behind every single idea ever turned into something real. Every single one. So healing can be seen to be similar to the process of invention and innovation in this way. If the result is real, a prototype or healing, then it doesn't matter that the beginning happened in the imagination, does it? Air travel has transformed our lives. It started out imaginary. Fast food, once imaginary, now everywhere, including our arteries. Emergency medicine, superhero movies, running water in our homes, all just fanciful ideas once. The same with our healing. If we can imagine it, we can create it, period. Nothing around us other than the trees and nature would exist in its current form without the power of the imagination. Psychoneuroimmunology has shown time and again that what we imagine, what we mentally rehearse, actually influences the immune system in measurable ways, including changing cell structure, bolstering the immune system, or accelerating wound healing. Psychoneuroimmunology is the study of how thoughts, emotions, and beliefs influence our immune system. Philosopher Jerome Bruner said, the essence of creativity is figuring out how to use what you already know in order to go beyond what you already think. And I love that quote so much because that really describes a bit about what's happening here when you go to your past, like when you go to your past lives, past your skepticism. When you go beyond your current belief system and you say, okay, I'm going to go beyond what I already know. I'm going to have to use what I already know in order to go beyond what I already think. So I already think past life regressions aren't real, but I have to go beyond that, beyond what I think, to see if I can learn something new. And so what I already know is this current life and these current fears. And if I go beyond that into like a past life, then maybe what I do in that beyond can change how I already think in this life. And I can go beyond it here too. And that's the idea here, is that by using the power of the imagination to enter the trance state and go into a past life regression, you can then affect your current state of being and go beyond something here too. And the key here is to understand the distinction between imaginative and imaginary. I'm not saying that past life regressions are imaginary. I don't know if they're imaginary or not. I don't know. And I'm okay living in that uncertainty. I'm saying past life regressions are imaginative. And I'm saying imagination has a power inherent in and of itself to heal and transform, regardless if you are imagining a real previous experience or imagining something completely made up. It doesn't matter. And so if using an imaginative tool like past life regressions helps kick on the power of your imagination to transform and heal your life, then it doesn't actually matter if the experience of the past life regression was imaginary or not, because the results in your current life are real enough. The gift of an image is that it provides a place from which to watch your soul, is what James Hillman has to say about that. And that's like really what we're doing when we go into past life regression. We're perching up on the vista of our imagination and we're watching our soul. What story might your soul be waiting to tell you? And what happens as we use our imagination to watch our soul is past lives unfold that then touch on and reckon with things in our current life that need healing. The Aboriginals have a process of soul retrieval, which is similar, different obviously, and it has its own like attendant steps. But the idea is that they're going into past incarnations and retrieving pieces of the soul that were left behind there. I think that's such a beautiful image. And when we go into a past life regression in our vernacular, we're going into the deep recesses, either of our imagination or of our real lives, to pull out some attendant details that have relevance to bear on this current reality, that can bring more joy, more peace, more lasting transformation. Who doesn't want that? So to me, I don't know if it's real, and I've stopped needing to know because the results are real. They speak for themselves. What would become possible for you if you let go of the need for certainty? Because if it worked on my fear of torture, then it can work for you too. Here's what happened to me when I went to a past life regression. I went to a person in Connecticut. So we start, she regresses me, she puts me into a trance state, but I am completely aware the whole time. So it's not like I didn't know what was happening. I did. And in fact, it was so much so that at one point she had me like going down a river, and I was like, yeah, this is tough for me because I'm visual and I'm a filmmaker. And like, I feel like I have to stop somewhere that there's a shore, but maybe I don't. Like, what if where I want to stop, there's no water? So then she was like, okay, how about we put you in a time capsule? And I was like, okay, great. Thank you. So like she works with my literal filmmaking mind, and she puts me in a time capsule, and then she's sending me back, and she's like, you'll know when to stop. And it's true. In past life regressions, whenever you stop, that's like a relevant life to visit, and you are guided by your intuition. So usually a path will appear in that life or a guide. Over the course of that regression, I visited 3 lives before the final one. And when I got to this one, I somehow knew it was in the 1920s. When you're living through your past lives, it kind of comes to you piece by piece. You don't have the sense that you're making it up. More, you have the sense that things are coming back to you, like dawning on you. And so, for example, I was like, okay, it's the 1920s, and I'm on a street, and then I look down, and I was like, oh, I'm a woman. And so it's like I'm not inventing it. It's like I realized that. So she prompts me, do you want to go inside? Is anywhere calling your name? And I was like, yeah, actually, I want to go in that door over there. And she said, go ahead, go in. And so I open the door and I go in. She said, what's happening? And I was like, oh, it's a speakeasy. And wow, everybody in here is so happy to see me. They love me in here. And it was this like wave of feeling, like acceptance, desire, adoration that washed over me. And it felt good for a second. And then immediately there was this pit in my stomach. And I was like, oh, but I hate it in here. And so it's like the unfolding of details is coming chronologically with me. I'm not inventing, I'm learning as I go, as if I'm watching it unfold like it's a movie, but I'm also creating the movie. So it's very paradoxical in that sense, creating it, but not making it up, right? And so anyway, I realized through this experience, like, oh, everyone loves me, but I hate it here. And then I was like, oh, I'm a prostitute. And I just realized in that moment, that's what my job was. Then the regressionist took me forward a little bit and into that lifetime where I was really panicked, and I was at a police station, and I was trying to report my pimp for all these abuses, and nobody would believe me. But there was this one police officer who did kind of believe me, and that gave me some hope or whatever. And then the past life regressionist was like, let's advance you further and see how you left this lifetime. And I said, okay. And so suddenly I'm in this warehouse in Germany tied to a chair, which is a really interesting image, because this is what I was telling my friend in the coffee shop that brought this whole thing up, is that I had a fear of torture my whole life, like in this present life. That's true for me. And like, not like an abject fear of torture, but like whenever I would see it on television, I'd have this visceral reaction, like, ooh, that feels extra scary for me. Like, I could never be Jack Bauer or whatever. I would start to learn my spiritual insights and go on my spiritual journey, which I've been doing all my life. And anytime I would learn a spiritual truth or an aspiration or a virtue, immediately what would cross my mind was like, well, would I be able to hold up to that virtue if I was being tortured? And the answer was always no. And it was always like the source of disappointment for me. I was like, oh, I'm too afraid of torture for anything spiritual to be real. So it was just this like very weird fear of torture. And it actually had to do with me being tied to a chair sometimes. That was the image that I would often picture. So now I'm literally tied to a chair in this past life in the 30s, and my pimp is there, and he's slicing me with this razor and like cutting me, death by 1,000 cuts kind of a thing. And he's doing this because he's asking me for information. And what I've been doing up to now is I was helping all of these other prostitutes that were like under his care or whatever, sort of underground railroad style, like helping them escape his clutches and get out of Germany. And he caught on to this, and now he's torturing me to find out about this. And I'm not telling him anything. And so ultimately I die in that warehouse right there. But that's that. And then I had another little bit after that. And then I came out of the past life regression. But the bottom line is, from that moment forward, my relationship to the idea of torture has been different. I'm not cool with it. That's not what I mean. But when I see it like on television, I don't have those visceral, sensational reactions in my body, and I don't have this wondering about if I would stand up under torture in spiritual situations. Like, that has all just dissipated for me, like full on dissipated. And I can now walk through my life with more peace, freedom, and joy as a result of this imaginative experience, having my past life regression. Have you ever experienced something you can't explain, but you know changed you forever? I mean, was I really a prostitute in 1930s Germany who died at the hands of her pimp? I don't know, but I also don't care. I really don't care, because I'm changed as a result of living through that experience. Now, as a result of the trance and the regression and my participation, I'm a changed man. I walk through life with less fear and new freedom. And our planet needs healing. It needs change. So if this makes you curious, if this inspires you, then just remember, any form of personal growth that you do is a form of collective growth and a form of collective healing. So if your way of contributing to society is to do a past life regression, to free yourself of your fears, your phobias, your past traumas, then by all means do it. Because we need more people walking through this world with freedom, with peace, with joy, with a sense of their interconnectedness and a determination to thrive. So whether it's from a past life or from yesterday's headlines, do whatever it is you need to do to embrace your healing and then add to the healing of the world. Because if the power of the imagination has the power to heal, then isn't it time we all start taking our dreams more seriously? So are past life regressions real? I have no effing clue. But I know they healed me, and that's all I need to know, because my life changed for the better, pervasively. And that's the point, not proving anything, but living transformed. If this type of healing resonates with you, then share it. And if you want to see more like this, then please like and subscribe, hit the bell, and all that jazz. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video for another Wellness Wednesday. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. I trust you, humanity. Much love. Bye.